Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Gray, your host, and today I'll be presenting my review of Disco Elysium. Disco Elysium is a game that surprised everyone when it released back in 2019. A small indie studio aimed to create a game with so much depth, breathing new life into the already flourishing cRPG genre. In Disco Elysium, you play as a drunk cop with acute amnesia. The aim of the game is to solve a murder mystery. While doing so, you discover things about yourself and psyche that you never thought about. I've never felt so attached and emotionally invested into a game as I did in Disco Elysium, a masterpiece in storytelling and character development. Starting with the graphics, the game has a very oily aesthetic, as it looked like a painting done on canvas. The art team clearly took their time finishing the minute details and embellishing this dark and greedy world with depression and decay. The overall atmosphere of the game is as depressing as they come. The game mainly revolves around a lawless city where a union strike is taking place, while the workers block the road and traffic comes to a halt for around a week. The future is bleak, and it shows from the moment you step out into the world. The game also features grotesque paintings that resemble your skill and memories, that feel like someone's worst nightmare coming to life, with the gloomy and eerie aesthetic that reminds me a lot of Francisco Goya's black paintings. Disco Elysium also manages to add color to all this bleakness, rarely revolving around dark and gloomy colors but consisting a lot of colorful shades like blue and orange for a little disco flair, which is a feat I rarely see in moody video games. This offers a unique aesthetic that makes Disco Elysium stand out from other games in this category. The game is an isometric RPG, so the animation is basic when it's there. However, the character portraits are amazingly detailed and reflect each character perfectly, from the main protagonist's drunken smile to your assistant carefully concealed emotions. One glance is all you need to know about how a character feels and behaves. Overall, the game's graphics are wonderfully drawn in order to convey an emotion of loneliness and hopelessness, and on that front, Disco Elysium excels. The sound effects and mastering in this game is top-notch. The soundtrack consists of eerie and catchy tunes that reflect the world and situation you're in, from the inn's catchy music to the city's depressing and eerie sound. Every area in Disco Elysium has its own fingerprint, further immersing the player in its world. The game features some voice acting, however, like most cRPG, it is not completely voice acted. The voice acting is a bit hit or miss in my opinion. On one side, you have the wonderfully voice-acted Kim Katsuragi with his monotonal and ambiguous voice, making you unsure if he's sarcastically mocking you or legitimately praising you. The voice actor pulled off an amazing job here. You also have the loudmouth kid Kuno, who basically mastered the art of roasting and insulting, spitting out slurs left and right while his partner in crime helps him by intervening and adding more slurs into the mix. However, while these characters are wonderfully acted, there are some characters around the world that sounds as if they were recording using a potato. The sound quality drops significantly with these characters, and it's really apparent that they were not all recorded in the same booth, maybe even outsourced for cheaper development. Gameplay is where Disco Elysium really shines bright. It's also where a lot of people, including myself, have a lot of trouble expressing and describing the gameplay. The game is a cRPG, however it does not have any combat system in place. It plays more like a visual novel with the underminings of an RPG. Let's start by explaining the killer feature of this game, and it's the psyche. The game ditches traditional RPG tropes like strength, intellect, and agility, instead opting to replace them with your psyche. Disco Elysium will have you create a character with certain abilities like intelligence, psyche, physique, and motor skills for your smartness, emotional intelligence, overall body build, and how agile you are respectively. It also doesn't stop there. Each attribute contains sub-attributes which further increases the complexity of the builds you can create. What really took me by surprise is that each sub-attribute can talk to you. Yes, talk like conversate with you while exploring and interacting with people in the game. One example is you're talking to a lady at the beginning of the game. While you're talking to her, your character's sex drive comes in and tells you that she looks pretty. Before you even know it, your self-confidence kicks in, joining the conversation, telling you should hit on the woman. After some back and forth and some D&D inspired dice rolls, you either succeed or fail, as a result of your character's attributes and dice rolls. Some dice rolls can even be saved for later, as if you failed, it'll tell you to level up a certain skill and try again. Another thing the game gets right is failure. Failing a dice roll doesn't always mean bad things are going to happen. You might succeed in flirting with the lady only to get rejected, thus damaging your morale. Or even worse, you might get slapped, damaging both your health and morale. This game harkens back to old Infinity Engine cRPGs, where depth is plenty and complete freedom over the game world was present. The way you die in this game is to either damage your character's morale/confidence or killed by reducing your health to 0. As I mentioned, there is no combat system, but if you piss off a character in the game to the point where they attack you, depending on your attribute, the character may damage you or kill you. Even the death scenes in this game showcases the game's incredibly detailed storytelling and character development. I won't go in depth about the death scenes because some of them might be considered spoilers. The story is another aspect that Disco Elysium tackles masterfully. Being as vague as possible to avoid spoilers, you wake up in a hotel room and slowly piece together that you're a detective that's on a case to find out who murdered a citizen and hung him right outside a local inn. Or are you a detective? You might be an up-and-coming superstar who will rock the world with wonderful music. That's the beauty of Disco Elysium. The protagonist is whatever you want him to be. You wake up with amnesia and rewrite his past. From social standings to ideological beliefs, the game delves deep into sensitive political and religious issues. Or you can just run around and tell everyone that you're in it for the disco and pursuing the dream of becoming the next superstar, while weirdly also being good at detective work. One of my favorite things in this game, and the thing that sealed the deal for me for great world development, is the Shivers attribute. If you spend some points into Shivers, your character might stop for a moment, and chills will run down his spine as he contemplates the world and how insignificant everything you're doing is in the grand scheme of things. It's this amazing character development and world design that really differentiates Disco Elysium from other RPGs, and places it on a pedestal I don't think any game in the near future can overthrow. Overall, Disco Elysium is a masterclass in RPGs and storytelling. It contains a clever blend of both character design and world building, joined with a unique take on the tried and true RPG tropes to create an experience that is unparalleled in depth and complexity, while also providing a unique aesthetic that is unmistakably and undeniably Disco Elysium. Thank you for watching, and if you really liked the video, please subscribe and like, and maybe leave a comment down below. Also, I really appreciate that you watched it this far. Thank you, and goodbye.